The heavy scent of frankincense and jasmine clung to the air, thick and sweet, a silken veil over the bustling majlis. Ornate gold latticework cast dancing shadows across the polished marble floor, mimicking the intricate patterns of a desert rose. Crystal chandeliers, suspended like frozen tears, diffused the vibrant afternoon light into 1,000 gentle prisms. Yet for Zara, the opulent grandeur felt less like a celebration and more like a beautifully constructed cage. Her gaze drifted across the room, past the vibrant silks and the murmured conversations, past the gleaming platinum tea sets being meticulously arranged by the staff. She felt the subtle tremor in her hands, a constant companion these days, a physical manifestation of the storm raging within her. Her abaya, a rich emerald hue, offered little comfort against the prickle of anxiety on her skin. She sat apart, a solitary figure, amidst the rich tapestry of familial obligation and polite society. Her artistic soul, usually a vibrant kaleidoscope of ideas and architectural dreams, felt muted, dulled by the relentless weight of her younger brother's fragile health. Every breath he took, every medical bill, was a knot tightening around her heart, pulling her further from the glittering promises of Dubai's skyline. The golden light that bathed the city at sunset, usually a source of profound inspiration, now seemed to mock her with its unattainable brilliance. She was an architect in a city built on audacious dreams, yet her own life felt like a structure cracking at its foundation. The clinking of bangles, the soft laughter, the rhythmic pour of traditional Arabian coffee into delicate cups. All these sounds, usually a comforting melody, now echoed her profound isolation. Her mind replayed fragmented conversations with doctors, the cold clinical words painting a bleak picture that she desperately tried to redraw with hope. She longed for the solace of her sketchbook, the quiet communion of lines and angles, a world she could control. But here, in this meticulously curated space, she was merely an observer, adrift in a sea of unspoken expectations and glittering facades. Her throat felt tight, a constriction that mirrored the suffocating reality of her life. She wished for a moment of true silence, a space where the heavy fragrance and the drone of voices would dissipate, allowing her to hear her own thoughts, to feel something other than this quiet, pervasive dread. She closed her eyes for a fleeting second, the image of her brother's wan smile searing into her mind, a poignant reminder of the battle she waged in solitude. She knew the eyes of many were upon her, not with malice, but with a curious veiled pity that stung more than any open accusation. She straightened her posture, a silent defiance against the unspoken judgments, a quiet assertion of her unwavering resolve. The air around her hummed with a tension that only she seemed to feel, a dissonant chord in the otherwise harmonious symphony of the majlis. It was in this moment of profound introspection, of quiet struggle, that a gentle touch graced her shoulder, pulling her back from the precipice of her thoughts. The voice, soft and imbued with a comforting warmth, broke through the shimmering veil of her solitude. "Why are you sitting here so quietly, my dear?" The helicopter blades whirred into a final rhythm, depositing Noor back into the familiar hum of the cultural center. The scent of oud, once comforting, was now bitter with irony, mingling with jet fuel and the weight of an impossible bargain. The staff averted their eyes but could not hide how the currents that had swept through their sanctuary had shifted. Iman, the quiet anchor, met her across the polished floor, concern and steady support plain on her face. Noor moved with a new gravity. Each step echoed the weight of her choice. The agreement, forged on her terms, felt like a tightrope over an abyss. One side promised her sibling a lifeline. The other meant daily proximity to the arrogance she despised. Rashid's sneer, his grasping hand, sent a fresh tremor through her. How could she endure being near such a man, feigning professionalism when every fiber of her recoiled? She paused by the intricately carved wooden screen, fingers tracing its patterns, seeking a link to enduring craft. Zayed's words about foundations kept returning, a counterpoint to her fear. He had seen something in her, a strength she had only just found in the crucible of confrontation. Calling her a rare and invaluable commodity, settled not as flattery, but as a reminder of the leverage she now held. She was no mere pawn, but a strategic piece, a tool he believed could mend a broken lineage. The thought repelled and empowered her. Iman set down a platinum tea set, chamomile steam curling from its spout. The desert often reveals its greatest secrets to those brave enough to go beyond the familiar paths. Habibti, she murmured. Noor accepted the cup. Its warmth seeped into chilled hands. The sun descended, painting the Dubai marina in impossible light. The skyline, once pure inspiration, now shimmered with double meaning, a beacon of progress and a monument to unchecked ambition. In the dark, still surface of her tea, she saw not just a woman in fear, but an architect, her gaze sharpening, resolve solidifying. The test had arrived, for Rashid and for her. The task before her was monumental, to build a future, piece by painstaking piece, from the fractured landscape of the present. She would not merely survive, she would construct a path of integrity within the gilded cage she had chosen. The soft glow of the cultural center's carefully curated exhibits seemed to absorb the city's distant hum, creating a pocket of deceptive tranquility. Noor, however, felt no peace. The phantom touch of Rashid's presence lingered, a discordant note in the refined air, an insidious promise of disruption. Her carefully constructed resolve, a fragile edifice in itself, threatened to crumble under the weight of anticipation. She imagined him striding in, a storm of tailored silk and predatory charm, and a cold dread coiled in her stomach. Iman, sensing the shift in her friend's demeanor, placed a comforting hand on her arm, a silent anchor in the turbulent waters of Noor's thoughts. The older woman's gaze, usually so full of gentle wisdom, now held a glint of steel, a shared understanding of the battles that lay ahead. The cultural center, once a haven, now felt like a temporary truce line, a quiet before the inevitable confrontation. Noor's fingers tightened on the delicate teacup, the warmth a small, fleeting comfort against the chill of her burgeoning anxiety. She had made her choice, and now she had to face its consequences, to navigate the treacherous currents of a world she had only ever observed from a distance. The intricate patterns on the screen, once a source of solace, now seemed to mock her, a reminder of the complex web she was about to enter. She knew this was not merely a professional challenge. It was a test of her very spirit, a gauntlet thrown down by a man who saw only opportunity where she saw a sacred trust. The city outside, a symphony of light and ambition, seemed to pulse with a predatory energy, mirroring the challenge that lay before her. She took a deep breath, the scent of oud and ancient wood filling her lungs, a silent prayer for strength. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, yet a flicker of defiance ignited within her, a refusal to be consumed by the shadow of another's arrogance. She would not be broken. The weight of the signed agreement settled in Noor's palm, a mix of triumph and unease. The Dubai marina, once a comforting hum, now felt like a buzzing current threatening to pull her into depths unknown. Zayed's booming laugh replayed in her mind, the sudden shift from stoic composure to genuine amusement that reassured and unsettled in equal measure. This was not merely a professional venture, it was a pact with power, a negotiation that had yielded not concession, but an affirmation of her own strength. Iman found her at the private infinity pool. Its glassy surface caught the sun's gold and turned a familiar comfort into a poignant reminder of what was at stake. The elder's presence, quiet and steady, offered unspoken solace. Their gazes met, and Iman acknowledged the silent battle inside Noor. She poured 2 cups of oud-infused tea, the steam curling like a whispered secret, a small ritual of calm before the storm. The armistice Noor had forced now held the promise of her siblings' healing, a desperate hope shadowed by the knowledge of Rashid's inevitable resentment. The terms were hers, meticulously set, yet the danger of becoming his benchmark lingered, a cold undercurrent beneath the exhilarating prospects of a new architectural future. She traced the rim of her teacup. Its warmth seeped into chilled fingers, an anchor in the current of her thoughts. Beyond the gilded cage, true freedom awaits settled over her with a new, terrifying clarity. She was not simply entering a cage, but crafting one, on paper and in practice, an architect of another's rehabilitation, whose success might demand compromises she had vowed to forbid. The city lights began to shimmer, a glittering tapestry of dreams and ambition that tonight felt less like inspiration and more like a testament to the colossal power dynamics she had just dared to challenge. The opulent hum of the majlis, usually a symphony of murmured conversations and clinking tea sets, fractured as Rashid's imposing silhouette darkened the space before Noor. His arrival, less an entrance than an assertion, drew a collective, almost imperceptible intake of breath. Elegant chatter stilled. Noor, stance unwavering, met his intense gaze, her voice a low, steady current against his formidable presence. She spoke with quiet precision, a subtle reminder of the esteemed company and the delicate social contract governing these halls. Rashid, a man shaped by unquestioning compliance, bristled. The ease of his stride faltered, replaced by a predatory intent as he closed in, his expensive Arabian oud cologne enveloping her in a suffocating cloud. The rich, cloying fragrance, once a mark of status, felt weaponized, an olfactory assertion meant to overwhelm and dismantle her composure. His dark, dismissive eyes swept over her, disdain hardening them before settling into a contemptuous smile that offered no warmth. He tossed a cutting remark, a deliberate slight aimed at her competence and the sanctity of the gathering, expecting immediate capitulation. The audacity of his entitlement hung heavy, threatening to corrupt the refined atmosphere. Iman, the wise confidant, watched from a discreet distance, her composed face shadowed by concern. Her fingers tightened on the cool prayer beads, a silent plea for resilience. Younger staff, trays of pastries and steaming cardamom coffee frozen, betrayed a mix of fear and fascinated apprehension as they witnessed the clash of wills and the fragile order teetering on the edge of confrontation. A palpable tension rippled through the room, a silent recognition of the deeper currents Noor had dared to stir against a man used to absolute compliance. The air, thick with jasmine, sweet frankincense, and Rashid's aggressive oud, crackled with an unspoken challenge. A moment poised between defiance and consequence, forcing every observer to choose a side, if only inwardly. Noor felt faint tremors of uncertainty, natural against such intimidation, but beneath them a quiet resolve, newly forged, began to assert itself. Her steady eyes held an unblinking awareness of the battle that had begun, a silent vow not to yield to his contempt. She stood, a beacon of quiet defiance, her spirit hardening with each passing second, braced for the cost of integrity and the complex challenges ahead. The Majlis, once a symbol of unassailable opulence and tradition, felt suddenly like an arena. Its gilded walls bore witness to a shift in power dynamics, one woman's unyielding spirit against entrenched expectation. She knew, with chilling clarity, that she would not merely endure this. She would, with precise and unwavering purpose, reshape its very architecture. A profound stillness settled on Noor, the tremors of the confrontation replaced by solid resolve. She drew a slow breath. The frankincense and jasmine in the marble palace atrium grounded her, clearing the last vestiges of fear. Her gaze, briefly cast down, rose to meet Rashid's furious stare with an unblinking, steady light. The opulent chamber of gleaming marble and gold latticework seemed to hold its breath. Hushed murmurs and clinking glass ceased, creating a wide silence around them. Her voice, low and steadied, answered the tension with quiet defiance. "My duty," she said, each word measured, "is to uphold the etiquette of this gathering, not to disrupt it for individual whims. You will extend respect to these customs, precisely like everyone else present." Rashid, taken aback by her steadfastness, faltered. His entitled facade splintered, revealing a raw, fleeting incredulity. A low hiss escaped him, a veiled reminder of his status, thick with anger. Noor remained unperturbed, a calm settling over her features. "I am acutely aware of your position, Your Highness," she replied, gaze unwavering. "And in this refined setting, the expectation of respect applies equally to all." A silence, denser than any pronouncement, descended on the atrium. Whispers died, the clink of tea sets ceased, and every eye, from distinguished guest to quiet servant, fixed on this unexpected challenge, a moment where quiet integrity confronted inherited power. The golden sunset through arched windows illuminated not only the ornate space but the shift in dynamics, highlighting the strength radiating from the woman who stood her ground. Her refusal to yield had arrested Rashid's aggression, and in that instant, altered the unspoken rules of engagement within this gilded realm. It was proof that true authority transcended status and resided in unshakable conviction. The stillness stretched, heavy with significance. a silent promise of future battles, and an acknowledgement of a new, unwavering force within the hallowed halls of the Al Zayed lineage. This quiet assertion, subtle yet powerful, marked the genesis of transformation, an unbreakable spirit beginning to redefine the architecture of respect. The air, once thick with polite murmurs, now hummed with a near-visible tension, a silent consensus rippling through the assembly. The elders' usually impassive faces showed surprise, perhaps grudging admiration, while younger guests exchanged wide-eyed looks, sensing the unprecedented exchange. Noor felt a shift within herself too, a wellspring of courage she had not known now flowing freely, solidifying her resolve. This was not just about Rashid. It was a challenge to centuries of unquestioned hierarchy. Her few words carried the weight of a decree, reshaping what was acceptable. The marble floor, once mere backdrop, mirrored the shifting dynamics, each vein a testament to the traditions she had gently but firmly disrupted. The city outside, a distant hum of ambition, felt momentarily insignificant against the monumental quiet inside the atrium. This was only the beginning, she knew, but the foundation had been laid, unshakable and clear. The weight of that resolve, freshly forged, settled in Noor, a blend of purpose and awareness of the precarious road ahead. The cultural center, once refuge, now felt like a strategic outpost from which she would launch her campaign through the labyrinthine expectations of Zayed's world. The building's quiet hum, the faint oud clinging to its wood, felt less like comfort and more like the hush before an unveiling. Iman, eyes wise and steady, offered a small smile, a silent acknowledgement of the crucible Noor had endured and the one ahead. The elderly woman's calloused hand clasped Noor's for a moment, a transfer of silent strength that pulsed through her. Outside the city, modernity woven with deep tradition seemed to watch, its golden skyline at sunset, offering both promise and a reminder of the powers at play. Noor moved through familiar halls, each step measured, no longer merely admiring latticework and exhibits, but seeing them with an architect's eye for structure and purpose. The agreement with Zayed revealed itself not as surrender, but as an audacious act of self-preservation, a bridge across a chasm of fear for her siblings' future. Rashid's angry face still flickered at the edges of her vision, a visceral reminder of the human element she would navigate daily. His arrogance, a coarse thread in the royal fabric, was the foundation she would reshape, not by demolition, but by subtler, enduring reconstruction. The challenge touched the core of her professional being, an architectural problem of human nature. She shifted from offer recipient to active architect of a new reality. Her sketchbook, clutched in hand, felt heavier, each blank page not just a dream, but a battleground where she would draw blueprints of integrity. The idea of a gilded cage ceased to be purely imposition and became a structure she could subtly re-engineer, turning bars into beams, confines into foundations. Zayed's booming, disarming laugh returned to her, authentic, cutting through his polished veneer. He had called her a rare and invaluable commodity, a strategic piece rather than a pawn. That perception, though utilitarian, offered a different power. She would not be broken, but used, and in that use, she could find agency. Her siblings' fragile health, the silent motivator, sharpened her focus. This was not about personal glory, but a lifeline, a fierce, quiet love demanding equal strength. The cultural center, always sanctuary, would become her training ground, where she honed diplomacy as much as design, preparing for daily confrontations. The oud, once bitter, began to carry a new resonance, a scent of resilience, a perfume of defiance. By the main exhibition, a display of ancient navigational instruments, polished brass and intricate gears, Noor's fingers brushed a celestial globe, its stars mimicking the desert night. As navigators used stars to cross shifting sands, she would need an internal compass to steer the currents of the Al Zayed lineage. The stakes exceeded her professional aims, touching the delicate balance of a family's reputation. Still, a quiet fire burned, a determination to prove that decency, as Zayed had sighed, truly was a rare pearl on velvet, worth defending. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the marina in gold and lavender. Skyscrapers stood like sentinels over a city of ambition. Beneath the glitter, Noor knew the truest battles were waged, not with concrete, but but with integrity and resolve. The path ahead was not merely an architectural project, but a journey of self-discovery, a deliberate construction of her own unshakable foundation within shifting sands of power. Noor's fingers, still tingling from Zayed's handshake, curled into her palm as if to hold tangible proof of her audacious bargain. The glass sky lounge, once thick with expensive oud and the gravity of their negotiation, now felt charged with a different energy, an exhilarating, terrifying current of possibility and risk. She watched Zayed's retreating form, a man whose power was as undeniable as the desert sun, and a shiver, not of fear but of potent awareness, traced down her spine. The panoramic Dubai marina, usually a canvas for her architectural dreams, now seemed an intricate blueprint of the gilded cage she had agreed to enter, and, she hoped, subtly re-engineer from within. Silence settled after his departure, filled only with the city's distant hum and the frantic beat of her heart. Iman re-emerged with quiet grace, her knowing eyes asking without words. Noor shook her head. A small, wry smile touched her lips. Only the dizzying echo of Zayed's laugh lingered, a sound that had cut through power's polish to reveal something genuinely impressed, perhaps even respectful. He had called her a rare and invaluable commodity, a phrase that confirmed her worth and the chilling reality of her role. A strategic piece to mend a broken lineage. The rehabilitation project was Rashid, her antagonist, whose arrogance still felt like a burn. This was not merely a professional challenge, but a deeply personal gauntlet. She walked to the window. Towering skyscrapers reflected the afternoon sun, a shimmering testament to ambition. Tonight the skyline would glow as always, yet for Noor, it held a double meaning, a beacon of progress, and a reminder of the power she had dared to challenge. She was to be Rashid's benchmark, a living standard of decency against which his deficiencies would be painfully revealed. The thought was repellent and empowering. Her sketchbook felt heavier, each blank page a potential battleground where blueprints of integrity would be drawn. The desert rose in its glass dome. Iman's emblem of fragile beauty in a controlled environment came to mind. She had to bloom, not merely survive. Her siblings' medical needs pressed on her, a constant motivator sharpening her resolve. This was not about glory, but a lifeline, a fierce, quiet love demanding equal strength. She had laid her terms, an armistice with clauses for protection and agency, professional autonomy, direct access, and an irrevocable trust for her siblings' care, foundations, not concessions. She would navigate Zayed's world not as a pawn, but as an architect of a new reality, rebuilding from within. The cultural center, her sanctuary, would be her training ground, where diplomacy would be honed as meticulously as design. The scent of oud, once a bitter reminder of Rashid, would become a perfume of defiance, a subtle resonance of resilience. Noor gazed at the city as the crescent moon began to emerge above the tallest towers, a timeless symbol against relentless modernity. She thought of Iman's parables about finding inner strength when forces threatened to overwhelm. She would need that compass to steer the currents of the Al-Zayed lineage. The stakes were immense, exceeding professional aims and touching a family's reputation, and perhaps her very soul. Yet a quiet fire burned within, a determination to prove that decency, as Zayed had mused, truly was a rare pearl on velvet, worth defending at all costs. The path ahead was uncertain, but the blueprint of her unshakable foundation had already begun to form. The nascent blueprint of her unshakable foundation, barely sketched, began to pulse with quiet, fierce energy. The city's night offered a brief reprieve, but the weight of the Al-Zayed lineage, an intricate tapestry of power and tradition, pressed from the shadows. Iman's parables resonated within Noor, a steadying presence against swirling uncertainty. She understood this landscape demanded more than architectural skill. It required an internal compass, fixed to an unwavering moral north. Her defiance of Rashid had not merely challenged a man, but declared war on a system built on privilege and unchecked ambition. The stakes, once about her siblings' fragile health and her career, expanded to encompass the essence of her soul. She was no longer just an architect, but a reluctant combatant, armed with integrity in a world that prized influence. The crescent moon, a silver sliver against the desert sky, mirrored her precarious position, delicate yet resilient. The quiet fire within stirred, She resolved to uphold Zayed's musing about decency as a rare pearl on velvet, worth defending at any cost. The path ahead remained shrouded, but a stark, unyielding purpose began to crystallize. Her agreement with Zayed, a delicate armistice in professional terms, loomed as a gilded cage from which she would either rise or be consumed. The next morning, the cultural center, usually a sanctuary, felt altered, tension humming beneath polite interactions. Iman watched Noor with a knowing gaze, her gentle smile now an expression of shared apprehension and support. The scent of oud, once comforting, carried a faint metallic tang, a residue of the storm past and the one gathering. Noor moved through familiar halls. Artifacts and latticework appeared in strategic terms. The architectural problem now extended to human nature, a task to reshape a broken lineage not by demolition, but by subtle, enduring reconstruction of values. Her sketchbook, once for dreams, felt like a tactical ledger, its pages awaiting blueprints of integrity. The gilded cage shifted from metaphor to structure she would re-engineer, turning bars into supportive beams, limits into foundations. Zayed's booming laugh, which pierced his polish to reveal genuine respect, replayed in her mind. His view of her as a rare and invaluable commodity was a different power, the ability to influence from within. Her siblings' fragile health, the silent motivator behind her choices, sharpened her focus. Every diplomatic encounter and design decision became a step toward their lifeline. The cultural center would be her training ground for negotiation and strategic foresight. The oud, once a bitter reminder of Rashid, began to smell of defiance, a scent of budding resilience. At the main exhibition, where brass instruments and gears gleamed, Noor paused. Her fingers brushed a celestial globe. Its etched stars mirrored the unblinking desert night. As ancient navigators trusted such guides, she knew she needed an unwavering internal compass to steer the Al Zayed dynamics. The stakes now touched the family's reputation, and perhaps the soul of a city built on ambition. Beneath rising apprehension, a quiet fire burned, a determination to prove that decency was indeed a rare pearl worth defending, even at great cost. Outside, the sun descended, painting the Dubai marina gold and lavender, turning skyscrapers into silent sentinels over a metropolis of dreams and relentless ambition. Noor understood with chilling clarity that the truest battles would be fought not with grand structures or wealth, but with the quiet strength of integrity and unyielding resolve. The path ahead was not merely an architectural project, but a profound journey of self-discovery, construction of her own foundation amid shifting sands. The first real test was yet to come. Its arrival was heralded not by fanfare, but by the crisp, almost imperceptible chill that permeated the grand atrium of the cultural center with the morning's first light. A new day had dawned, yet it carried an altered resonance, a subtle hum of impending confrontation that vibrated beneath the polished marble and through the intricate latticework. Noor felt it as a prickle on her skin, a tightening in her chest that had nothing to do with the cool air. She had envisioned the test as a grand, formal challenge, perhaps a direct engagement with Rashid in the imposing halls of the Al Zayed Corporation. But its true manifestation proved far more insidious, lurking in the quiet spaces, in the veiled glances of those around her. The familiar scent of oud, usually grounding, now seemed to carry a faint, acrid edge, a premonition of battles waged not with words, but with unspoken expectations and meticulously choreographed slights. She moved through the exhibits with an almost preternatural awareness, her architect's eyes scanning not just for aesthetic balance, but for signs of subtle imbalance, for shifts in the meticulously maintained order that might betray the invisible currents of power. A new display of ancient cartography, with its elaborate renderings of forgotten trade routes and mythical beasts, held her gaze. It struck her then that her own journey was akin to navigating uncharted territories, where the familiar landmarks of her professional world offered little guidance against the shifting sands of familial politics. Iman, ever observant, approached with a tray bearing freshly brewed cardamom coffee, its rich aroma a fleeting comfort against the growing unease. "The desert does not always roar to announce its storms, Habibti," Iman murmured, her eyes holding a depth that spoke volumes without explicitly stating the obvious. Sometimes, the greatest challenges arrive on silent wings, disguised as ordinary days. Noor accepted the delicate cup, its warmth a tangible anchor in the swirling uncertainty. Rashid's shadow, though physically absent, felt closer than ever, his arrogant entitlement, a palpable presence woven into the very fabric of the day. She understood that this was precisely his method, to destabilize not with overt aggression, but with a creeping sense of vulnerability, an erosion of confidence. Yet within her, the quiet fire sparked by Zayed's unexpected respect continued to burn, fueled by the image of her sibling's hopeful eyes. This was not a battle for personal pride, but for a future, for a lifeline she had sworn to secure. The terms of her agreement with Zayed were her shield, meticulously crafted clauses that promised autonomy and protection. But she knew their true strength lay in her unwavering resolve to wield them. The city outside, a vibrant tapestry of modernity and aspiration, pulsed with an indifferent energy, a constant reminder of the high stakes involved, yet also a source of strange, defiant inspiration. She would not merely endure this test, she would dissect it, understand its architecture, and build a response that was both strategic and profoundly authentic. The first skirmish, she realized, had already begun, subtle as a breath, yet as impactful as any direct assault, demanding a vigilance far deeper than she had ever anticipated, an alertness that would reshape her very perception of strength. This newly sharpened alertness, a finely honed instrument, colored every interaction in the cultural center's halls. Morning light, once a balm, now illuminated every tiny shift, unspoken glances, carefully chosen words. Noor observed not just grand gestures of power, but its silent currents, the ebb and flow of influence in the social fabric. Familiar staff faces, once colleagues, now reflected a deeper struggle. Polite smiles betrayed flickers of unease, a quiet acknowledgement of seismic shifts. The scent of oud, once comforting, felt like a veil, an aromatic illusion hiding deeper anxieties. She moved among exhibits with her architect's eye drawn beyond form to hidden narratives, unwritten codes that governed this gilded world. Each marble slab, each lattice work, whispered tradition, expectation, loyalty, and dissent. Her steps, once confident, now carried surgical precision, each movement a deliberate navigation through a treacherous landscape. The skirmish was not thunderous, but a sequence of near imperceptible pressures. Colleagues withdrawing, hesitant politeness, conversations shifting or dying as she approached. It showed in delays for her projects, subtle redirection of queries, bureaucratic mazes that appeared only for her. This was Rashid's genius, to erode without confrontation, to destabilize by indifference, to isolate her with orchestrated quiet. Her resolve, forged in defiance, was tested by the chill of veiled opposition. Yet her siblings' hopeful eyes remained a beacon, a fierce, quiet love that demanded not merely survival but triumph, victory born of integrity rather than spectacle. Iman's words, "The greatest challenges arrive on silent wings, disguised as ordinary days," echoed through her. The battle was to discern attack in the mundane, to find strength in quiet resistance, to build an inner fortress. Her sketchbook, clutched tight, ceased to be only a repository of dreams and became a strategic guide, blank pages awaiting blueprints of resilience and routes through the Al-Zayed currents. The gilded cage shifted from metaphor to internal project, its bars to be re-engineered into pillars, its confines into foundations for an unshakable spirit. The city outside, a symphony of light and ambition, pulsed indifferently, both reminder of the stakes and strange source of defiance. True strength revealed itself not as a shield but a compass, an inner guide through shifting sands of power and expectation. The fight was not for reputation but for essence, the conviction that decency is a rare pearl on velvet, worth defending with every calculated breath, every subtle move, every quiet assertion of will. The construction of her own foundation, though a solitary internal endeavor, would be tested daily against the relentless currents of the external world. Each morning brought a renewed awareness of the city's indifferent pulse, a constant reminder of the intricate dance between ambition and tradition that played out beneath its glittering facade. Noor found herself increasingly attuned to the subtle vibrations of power, recognizing the unspoken language of glances and averted eyes, the nuanced shifts in conversation that signaled the approach of another veiled challenge. The cultural center, usually a bastion of peace, now felt like a training ground, its elegant spaces transformed into a theater where quiet battles for influence were meticulously staged. She moved through its halls, her senses heightened, every artifact and latticework a potential clue in the complex architectural problem of human nature she was determined to solve. The scent of oud, once a comforting embrace, now carried a sharper edge, a reminder of the resilience she was forced to cultivate, a perfume of defiance rather than mere acceptance. Her sibling's unwavering image remained etched in her mind, a beacon illuminating her path through the encroaching shadows. This quiet, fierce love was not a weakness, but the very bedrock of her resolve, strengthening her against the insidious pressures designed to erode her spirit. She understood now that Rashid's game was one of slow, psychological attrition, a dismantling not of structures but of confidence, a strategy of isolation disguised as polite detachment. Yet in this quiet war, Noor discovered a deeper wellspring of strength, an inner compass that, rather than pointing towards professional glory, navigated towards an unwavering moral north. Her sketchbook, once a sanctuary for dreams, evolved into a strategic manual, its pages filled not with fantastical designs but with calculated responses, blueprints for navigating the Al-Zayed lineage's intricate dynamics. The idea of the gilded cage began to transform, not as a physical confinement, but as a challenge to re-engineer, to turn its ostensible bars into pillars of support, its limits into expansive horizons of self-discovery. Zayed's assessment of her, as a rare and invaluable commodity, continued to resonate, shifting from a mere label to a source of unexpected empowerment. It was a recognition of her unique ability to influence from within, to bring a quiet integrity to a system that often prioritized appearances over essence. The true battle, she realized with stark clarity, would not be fought with grand pronouncements or displays of wealth, but with the subtle strength of character, the steadfastness of purpose. She would prove that decency was not a relic, but a rare pearl capable of enduring the harshest pressures. The city outside, bathed in the soft glow of dusk, became a mirror reflecting her own journey, a testament to relentless ambition, yet also a canvas where she would paint her own indelible mark of unwavering resolve. The path ahead, shrouded in uncertainty, demanded not just a strong will, but a nuanced understanding of strategy, a subtle hand to guide the currents without disrupting the fragile balance. Each calculated breath, each quiet assertion of her will, contributed to the meticulous construction of a future defined by integrity, a testament to her own unbreakable spirit. The path ahead, though charted by her renewed resolve, revealed itself not as a smooth ascent, but as a series of subtle shifts in the ground beneath her. Each day, the cultural center, once a haven of quiet, morphed into a stage where power played its silent dramas. Noor became keenly aware of tiny tremors in its atmosphere, a hush falling when she approached, the weight of an unsaid word, the coolness in a familiar gaze. She learned this language quickly, veiled intentions and unspoken judgments, a consequence of her audacious stand. The scent of oud, braided with the building's wood, carried an undertone of vigilance, a reminder that her integrity was under scrutiny. Her internal compass, forged in defiance, now navigated a moral landscape of hidden currents. The architects of the Al-Zayed lineage, unseen yet present, shaped perceptions like a sculptor, eroding allegiances. Noor realized Rashid's game had moved beyond humiliation. It aimed to isolate her, to dismantle her support with the elegant ruthlessness of desert winds stripping sand from stone. But each subtle resistance she met only deepened her conviction. Her sibling's image, a silent plea, flared into an unyielding shield. That love fortified her against a world that prized decorum while practicing quiet cruelties. Outside, the city, towers and thoroughfares, appeared less a monument to dreams than a living map of power she was learning to read. Her sketchbook shifted into a strategic journal, documenting adversaries' moves, mapping invisible pathways, drafting contingencies for every slight. The gilded cage she once saw as prison became an intricate mechanism she intended to understand and re-engineer. She would not break it with force, but subtly reconfigure its parts, turning limits into vantage points. Zayed's description of her as an invaluable commodity lost its chill and gained new resonance. recognition of her strategic worth, her grounded authenticity amid elaborate fictions. She was a silent disruptor, an unexpected variable in a controlled equation. The truest battle, she felt, would be won not in spectacle but in the steady assertion of her values, an unwavering presence proving that decency is a rare pearl, able to shine amid political sands. The cardamom from Iman's tea, mixed with the lingering oud, an aromatic echo of resilience and quiet mourning for the simpler life, where designs came from pure inspiration. She watched the sun descend, painting the horizon rose and violet, a fleeting beauty over the silent sentinels of ambition. The skyscrapers reflected not only light, but the countless unspoken narratives within their shadows. Noor understood her work was less about erecting structures than building an invisible edifice of principle. A slow, solitary construction, a quiet revolution turning the gilded cage into a canvas for her most enduring work. The quiet revolution of her intent, though nascent, now met the palpable shift in the air, a subtle but undeniable resonance that preceded Sheikh Zayed's presence. The Majlis, moments before a haven for her silent introspection, now buzzed with a muted energy, like desert sand stirred by an unseen wind. Each whisper carried a new weight, every glance sharpened with anticipation as the grand doors swung open, not with fanfare, but with an almost reverential hush that seemed to absorb all other sound. His entrance was less an arrival and more an atmospheric phenomenon, altering the very composition of the space. Noor felt it as a profound pressure, a tightening in the elegant weave of the societal fabric, an invisible thread pulling taut around her. Her gaze, which had been lost in the artistry of the fading light, now instinctively sought the source of this profound shift, finding him framed against the backdrop of the city's evolving twilight. Zayed moved with an understated gravitas, a powerful current beneath a calm surface. His eyes, though assessing, held a flicker of that genuine amusement she had witnessed during their audacious bargain, a reminder of the strategic alliance she had forged against Rashid's venom. He was a man who understood the architecture of power, his presence a masterfully constructed edifice that commanded respect without overt display. The scent of a rarer oud, distinct from the cultural center's usual embrace, now mingled with the lingering jasmine, marking his passage with an almost regal signature. Noor watched him, her architect's mind dissecting his bearing, his measured interactions, searching for the subtle tells of his intentions within the intricate dance of custom and command. This was the man who held the key to her sibling's future, the unexpected patron of her defiance, and the architect of Rashid's potential rehabilitation, a complex figure whose patronage was both a shield and a gilded tether. The initial shock of his immediate proximity, the sheer weight of his influence now concretely manifest, slowly gave way to a sharpening of her own senses. The gilded cage no longer felt like a distant metaphor, but a tangible reality, its boundaries defined by the very air he breathed, its opportunities illuminated by his discerning gaze. Yet within that perceived confinement, Noor felt a curious liberation. His presence, rather than diminishing her, seemed to magnify her resolve, confirming her status as a singular, strategic piece in his grand design. This was the proving ground she had anticipated, not a silent battle of attrition, but a direct engagement with the very forces she sought to reshape. Her internal compass, unwavering, pointed not to escape, but to meticulous engagement, to an artful negotiation of will against the backdrop of immense power. The city outside, now a shimmering tapestry of diamonds against indigo velvet, pulsed with an energy that mirrored her own burgeoning determination, a testament to enduring strength amidst relentless aspiration. She took a deep, measured breath, the exquisite blend of oud and jasmine filling her lungs, a silent promise to herself. She would not merely navigate these currents. She would, with precise and unwavering strokes, begin to steer them, transforming the stage of another's making into the canvas of her own design, a testament to quiet power, the quiet assertion of her will. A subtle undercurrent beneath the composed surface now met the full force of Sheikh Zayed's presence as his gaze, discerning and profound, settled upon her. It was not a lingering stare, but an all-encompassing acknowledgement, a silent appraisal that seemed to weigh her very spirit. In that brief, charged moment, the opulent majlis, with its intricate latticework and the hushed murmurs of its elite guests, faded into a soft blur. All that remained was the intense connection between his formidable power and her steadfast resolve, a delicate balance of forces poised on the precipice of engagement. The air, still fragrant with the blend of oud and jasmine, thickened with an unspoken tension. An invisible thread stretched taut between them, hinting at the complex tapestry of challenges and opportunities that now lay before her. She felt the subtle tremor in her hands, a familiar companion in moments of profound pressure. Yet this time it was tempered by a growing sense of quiet determination, a steeling of her inner core. His smile, a fleeting curve of his lips, carried the weight of generations, an enigma veiled in politeness that promised both patronage and an unyielding expectation. It was a smile that recognized her audacious bargain, acknowledging her as a strategic piece in a game far larger than any single individual. Noor met his gaze with an unflinching directness, a silent testament to the integrity that was her shield and her sword. She understood that this was not merely a ceremonial exchange, but a critical juncture, a moment where the blueprint of her ambition would be laid bare against the intricate architecture of his influence. The gilded cage, a metaphor that had once felt distant, now shimmered with immediate reality. Its bars not of steel but of societal expectations, its confines defined by the very air she now breathed. Yet, within this perceived limitation, a strange sense of liberation began to blossom. His presence, rather than diminishing her, seemed to amplify her purpose, clarifying the precise and unwavering strokes she would need to steer the formidable currents of the Al-Zayed lineage. The city outside, a breathtaking mosaic of light against the deepening indigo, pulsed with an indifferent energy, a relentless march of ambition that mirrored the magnitude of her task. Each skyscraper, each glittering facade, whispered tales of power and aspiration. Yet for Noor, they now represented a different kind of architecture, a structure of values she was committed to upholding, even within the confines of a world that often prioritized appearance over essence. Her internal compass, unwavering and true, pointed not to escape, but to meticulous engagement, to an artful negotiation of will against the backdrop of immense power. This was her stage, not one she had chosen, but one she would meticulously transform. The unspoken narratives of the Majlis, the veiled glances and hushed whispers, became the raw materials for her design, each interaction a precise cut, each challenge a carefully placed beam in the edifice of her quiet revolution. She was not merely navigating, she was actively constructing, building an invisible foundation of principle that would withstand the subtle erosions of prejudice and the overt assaults of arrogance. The path ahead, shrouded in uncertainty, demanded not just strength, but a nuanced understanding of strategy, a subtle hand to guide the currents without disrupting the fragile balance. Every measured breath, every quiet assertion of her will, contributed to the meticulous construction of a future defined by integrity, a testament to her own unbreakable spirit. Her initial fear had softened into a resolute clarity, a profound understanding that the most enduring structures were often forged in the crucible of quiet defiance, built not with brick and mortar, but with an unwavering commitment to one's truest self. That commitment, now an unshakable inner pillar, transformed the Majlis from a stage of anxiety into a landscape she was determined to master. Each gilded ornament, once a symbol of opulence and confinement, now held a new significance, a detail within a larger architectural problem she was poised to solve. The fragrant air, still rich with oud and jasmine, seemed to hum, not with tension, but with a quiet challenge, a subtle invitation for her to articulate her vision within the silent dialogues of power. Sheikh Zayed's presence, though imposing, no longer evoked trepidation but rather a heightened sense of strategic engagement. His discerning gaze, which had once felt like an invasive probe, now seemed to acknowledge a kindred spirit, one capable of seeing beyond the glittering facades to the underlying structures of influence and purpose. This was the moment for construction, not merely of physical forms, but of an intricate narrative of integrity that would subtly reshape the very foundations of expectation. Noor moved with a quiet grace, her earlier tremors replaced by a steady resolve that radiated from within. Her hands, no longer seeking anchors, now felt capable of sculpting the invisible forces at play. She observed the subtle currents of the room, the hushed conversations, the deferential movements around the sheikh, and recognized them not as obstacles, but as the raw materials of her burgeoning design. Her mind, an architect's crucible, began to forge connections, drawing lines between the intricate latticework above and the complex social tapestry below, seeking patterns, points of leverage, and areas for strategic intervention. The memory of her siblings' hopeful smile, a fierce, quiet warmth in her core, fueled this internal alchemy, turning the perceived limitations of her situation into the very wellspring of her strength. This was not about breaking free from the gilded cage, but about reimagining its purpose, transforming its bars into beams of support for a future yet unwritten. The city outside, a breathtaking panorama of modernity against the velvet indigo sky, pulsed with an indifferent ambition that resonated deeply with her own. Each skyscraper, a testament to human aspiration, seemed to whisper encouragement, reminding her that even the grandest structures begin with a single, resolute line. She would not merely navigate the currents of the Al Zayed lineage. She would, with meticulous precision and unwavering intent, begin to guide them. Her internal compass, honed through quiet defiance, pointed not to a distant escape, but to a profound engagement with the present, an artful negotiation of her will against the formidable backdrop of inherited power. Every calculated breath became a deliberate stroke, every quiet assertion of her presence a foundational element in the edifice of her quiet revolution. She was building, not with brick and mortar, but with the steadfastness of her character, proving that authenticity possessed an enduring strength far beyond any transient display of wealth or influence. The path ahead, while still shrouded in uncertainty, was no longer a source of dread, but a canvas awaiting the indelible mark of her meticulously constructed purpose. She would not merely endure, she would, with every fiber of her being, define the very architecture of her own unbreakable spirit. The true work had just begun, silently, profoundly, within the heart of the Majlis. The platinum tea service, an intricate dance of silver and porcelain, concluded with Iman's soft, almost imperceptible retreat. Her presence left a whisper of exotic spices and the rich aroma of Arabian coffee, a fragrant counterpoint to the tension that had gathered. Sheikh Zayed, his bearing composed, broke the quiet. I have, it must be said, received a rather exhaustive account concerning the events of yesterday, he began, his measured voice carrying the weight of expectation. My cousin Rashid, it appears, harbors the distinct impression that he was, by your hand, unfairly slighted. Noor's fingers tightened around the warmed curve of her teacup, the fine china a small, defiant anchor to her resolve. Rashid, Your Highness, demonstrated an egregious and unacceptable disregard for both the esteemed patrons who frequent these halls and the dedicated members of my staff, she said, her voice clear and resolute. When he was politely entreated to uphold the decorum expected of such a venerable establishment, he dismissed the request with contempt and escalated into overtly aggressive actions. A conscious silence followed, a deliberate omission of the intrusive physical contact that had marred the previous evening's tranquility. Zayed's gaze remained fixed upon her as he lifted his cup, pausing before he continued. My kinsman, I confess, possesses little true influence. He continually misconstrues inherited privilege for genuinely earned distinction. Noor met him with an unwavering gaze. He cast aside his wealth with disdain and then, with arrogance, demanded the expulsion of honored guests. Such an act, Your Highness, transcends discourtesy and reveals a profound absence of basic human decency. A quiet tremor of weary resignation flickered in Zayed's ancient eyes, a testament to burdens long endured. Decency, he echoed softly, the word a wistful whisper that dissipated into the hushed morning air. A concept as rare and fragile as a singular pearl, formed over years, displayed upon the dark velvet of human interaction. Noor's thoughts drifted to her sibling, to the loyal patrons who considered this place a haven, and to Iman's silent loyalty that fortified her spirit. Because this cherished space, Your Highness, embodies more than material opulence, she said, her voice now fervent. It is a sanctuary of cultural heritage, a community founded on mutual respect and shared understanding. Rashid, with his inherited name and wealth, sought to shatter that harmony, to assert that his perceived power made the dignity of others meaningless. My intervention was not impulsive, but born of conviction that to permit such disrespect to fester would be to allow this sacred oasis of truth, this beacon of integrity, to rot from its core. I stand before you resolute. I will never permit that decay. Not for any price, nor any consequence, will I allow this haven, this testament to our shared values, to be compromised. Her blueprint, meticulously laid within the confines of her spirit, began to manifest in the subtle currents of the majlis. The silent work, initiated with a profound internal resolve, now extended into the intricate web of interactions unfolding around her. Each carefully chosen word, every nuanced gesture, became a deliberate stroke in the larger architectural problem she was determined to solve. The subtle re-engineering of perceptions within Zayed's world. The opulent space, once a symbol of her gilded cage, now shimmered with new potential, a canvas awaiting the indelible mark of her strategic purpose. The scent of oud and jasmine, rich and enveloping, no longer just a backdrop, now seemed to carry the very essence of her burgeoning defiance, a fragrant promise of resilience blooming amidst the intricate latticework of tradition. Zayed's presence, though still a formidable force, had shifted from an imposing obstacle to a point of focused engagement, his discerning gaze not a judgment, but a measure of her unfolding power. Noor moved through the hushed elegance with a newfound authority, her movements precise, imbued with an unshakable inner compass. She observed the deferential movements of the guests, the quiet whispers, the subtle hierarchies at play, recognizing them not as static elements but as dynamic components she could subtly influence. Her architect's mind, a crucible of calculated thought, began to forge intricate connections, drawing invisible lines between the ornate physical structures and the complex social architecture of the Al-Zayed lineage. The unwavering image of her siblings' hopeful eyes remained a potent internal beacon, a fierce, quiet love that anchored her amidst the swirling currents of expectation and ambition. This profound personal motivation transformed every perceived limitation of her situation into a wellspring of strategic strength, enabling her to reimagine the purpose of her gilded cage, turning its ostensible bars into supportive beams for a future built on integrity. The city outside, a breathtaking panorama of modernity against the deepening indigo, pulsed with an indifferent ambition that resonated deeply with her own, each glittering skyscraper, a testament to human aspiration and a silent whisper of encouragement. She would not merely navigate the currents of the Al-Zayed lineage. She would, with meticulous precision and unwavering intent, begin to guide them, steering with an artful negotiation of her will against the formidable backdrop of inherited power. Every calculated breath became a deliberate stroke in this quiet revolution. Every subtle assertion of her presence a foundational element in the edifice of her meticulously constructed purpose. She was building, not with brick and mortar, but with the steadfastness of her character, proving that authenticity possessed an enduring strength far beyond any transient display of wealth or influence. The path ahead, while still shrouded in uncertainty, was no longer a source of dread, but a canvas awaiting the indelible mark of her meticulously constructed purpose, a testament to her own unbreakable spirit. This profound internal shift, barely perceptible to the casual observer, was already beginning to reshape the subtle fabric of the majlis, one quiet assertion at a time. The true test of her architecture was not in grand designs, but in the unwavering integrity of each deliberate detail, each unspoken promise to herself, echoing through the elegant halls, a silent, powerful resonance. The resonance of the sealed agreement vibrated through Noor, a profound shift that clarified the very architecture of her immediate future. The intricate clauses, meticulously negotiated and now binding, were not chains, but the very beams of a new structure, one she would erect on her own terms within Zayed's formidable world. The phrase, "Beyond the gilded cage, true freedom awaits," no longer felt like a distant whisper of hope, but a tangible reality she had begun to construct, brick by painstaking brick, from the inside out. Her mind, an architect's crucible, was already at work, not designing grand facades, but meticulously planning the internal frameworks of resilience and strategic engagement. The vast desert outside, glimpsed from the helicopter, had felt like an expanse of raw potential, a stark contrast to the opulent confines she now sought to redefine. This was not a surrender, but a strategic advance, a quiet revolution launched from the very heart of the system she intended to navigate and subtly reshape. Her sibling's image, a tender, persistent beacon, sharpened every aspect of her resolve. That fierce, quiet love, the ultimate motivator behind her audacious stand, transformed the daunting task of Rashid's rehabilitation into a project of profound personal significance. She would approach it with the same exacting precision and unwavering integrity she brought to her architectural designs, dissecting his arrogance not with confrontation, but with the quiet, structural strength of unyielding principle. The challenge was no longer merely professional. It was a deeply personal gauntlet, demanding not just skill, but an unwavering moral compass to steer through the labyrinthine dynamics of the Al Zayed lineage. The air, still faintly redolent with the rare oud of Zayed's presence, now carried a subtle undertone of defiance, a perfume of burgeoning resilience. She envisioned the cultural center, her sanctuary, not as a retreat, but as her command center, a place where diplomacy and design would intertwine, where she would hone her understanding of human nature as meticulously as she sketched a facade. The sketchbook, no longer just a repository of dreams, had become a tactical ledger, its pages awaiting not only aesthetic visions, but also the precise, calculated responses to the inevitable challenges Rashid would pose. The city's golden skyline, once a distant muse, now reflected her own burgeoning ambition, a testament to the power of deliberate creation, even amidst the most formidable constraints. She was building an invisible edifice of principle, a testament to her steadfast character. This was the true architecture, far more enduring than glass and steel, forged in the crucible of quiet defiance, destined to leave an indelible mark on shifting sands. The path ahead shimmered with both peril and unprecedented opportunity, a canvas awaiting the bold, unwavering strokes of her meticulously constructed purpose. The air in the glass sky lounge, having held its breath through the audacious exchange, released a subtle current, carrying the faint scent of Zayed's rare oud, a perfume of absolute power. Noor's hand, still tingling from the sheikh's firm grip, felt less like a limb than a conduit, charged with the disorienting weight of her new reality. Her heart, which had thrummed frantically moments before, settled into a steady, purposeful beat, like a master craftsman's hammer shaping raw material into something enduring. This was no mere negotiation concluded. It was an irrevocable turning point, a silent pact with destiny forged high above the city's indifferent pulse, demanding every fiber of her being. The agreement, meticulously crafted and sealed, felt less like a constraint than an armature, a framework on which she would build her design for influence, a scaffold of self-determination and resolve. The gilded cage, once a symbol of entrapment, now shimmered with potential, a complex problem she was uniquely positioned to solve by reconfiguring its internal logic and unwritten rules. Rashid, the designated project, ceased to be a monstrous adversary and became a flawed structure demanding precise, unyielding attention, an edifice of arrogance waiting for quiet, deliberate reconstruction, beam by fragile beam. Her quiet, fierce love for her sibling intensified into renewed purpose, transforming this professional challenge into a personal crusade. Each diplomatic interaction and crafted report became a deliberate stroke in the foundation of their shared future, rooted in integrity that refused the deceptive allure of wealth. She pictured her first day at Al Zayed Global Properties, an architect among power brokers, navigating opulent corridors where every glance might hide judgment. Her mind, a finely tuned instrument, anticipated the politics, the deliberate slights, the bureaucratic mazes Rashid would orchestrate to undermine her. Yet amid this subtle warfare, a thrill of defiance sparked, hardening her resolve. This was the arena where her principles would be honed into an impenetrable shield. The city's golden skyline, a constant companion, whispered not just ambition but resilience, structures that endure through design and will. The panoramic vista of Dubai Marina beyond the glass shifted from distant muse to living diagram of power dynamics she now must navigate. Each skyscraper reflected the city's drive and subtle shifts in her perception, limits as leverages, confinements as canvases for change. Her vision expanded beyond buildings to unseen forces, delicate balances, and strategic interventions within the human landscape. She would be a silent disruptor, quietly reconstructing the opulent architecture of the Al Zayed lineage, proving authenticity stronger than transient displays of wealth. Zayed's genuine laughter echoed as validation, her worth recognized not in subservience, but in will. The oud, now mingled with the clean tang of certainty, settled over her as a perfume of nascent defiance, a fragrant promise of resilience blooming in the storm. The path ahead, though shrouded in human complexity and ancient tradition, no longer evoked dread, but an exhilarating sense of purpose. This was her design, her most authentic creation, meant not for outsiders' admiration, but for an inner truth to prevail. A testament to an unyielding spirit poised to redefine power from within Dubai's gilded heart and to secure a future built on integrity.